Hi everybody, I'm Zach and I like movies, and I am here for another entry in my Letterboxd Criterion Challenge for 2024. I've just been pumping these out lately, really, and really I just kind of have to, because if I don't, I won't finish on time. but regardless, today's prompt was number 11, which was to watch a movie from the Saturday Matinee series, Observations on Film Art. Now, this is a series of a couple dozen wonderful video essays about selecting a film and sort of analyzing it in its form, in its function, and what can be read from it. And they're very informative and easily accessible, I think, especially given some of the instructors in it. They make the great observations and film studies very clear and accessible, I think. And today, the one I decided to pick was one that's been on my watch list for a good couple of years now, and it is the 1985 film Vagabond. This is from writer, director, one of the gods of not just French cinema, but all cinema, Agnes Varda. She is kind of in the canon, the greater canon of French New Wave. You got three big names, sort of the Justice League of names. Sort of the Justice League of French New Wave. There was, of course, Jean-Luc Godard, Francois Truffaut, and Agnes Varda. They were like the three, kind of the three big ones, the leading stars. And I'm kind of admitting I am a bit of a failed cinephile. This Vagabond is only my third Varda film. I am as I said, I'm a busy and sometimes a lazy cinephile, but that's why you get something like this. This is the great big box of the complete Agnes Varda, and this has something like 20-something features and like a couple dozen of her other documentaries, like her on the Kung Fu Masters, and one about The Gleaners and I, which is about reflecting on herself. Also Faces Places, which is a marvelous movie. Also there's the Black Panther. There's a lot in this, and it's one of those things that's perfect to have, just to kind of convince yourself to dig into her work. And I would have to, and I owe each time I've seen a new Varda or watched an interview of her and listened to her, she has such. I feel like I'm cheapening myself by not immediately diving into her filmography, because she comes off as so knowledgeable and so tender and so kind and so curious about what movies can do and what they can show and what and just kind of pushing a lot of the boundaries between and sort of playing around with cinematic vocabulary and pushing the bounds of what could be these character portraits, and playing with form, and what could be done with cinematic form and storytelling. She's wonderful. She's kind of loved as the French New Wave grandma for a lot of reasons. Mostly because she's really she's really small and cute. You could put her in a pocket or something. But anyway, so Vagabond. It's a very simple story, and it's also a story that starts at its ending, where the vagabond, Mona Bergeron, is found dead in a ditch. She was unclaimed. Some farmer in a field found her body, and the police just kind of write it off as natural causes. And from there, we start with a interesting flashback story structure, where it gets into we're watching flashbacks of who she was, and seeing how she came into how did she get from how did she get to where she ended up. And I would also have to say the video, Vagabond's video on off of Observations of Film Art is wonderful. You have the late great amazing film critic David Bordwell who elaborate on what Varda was doing experimentation wise in terms of what it was doing with the story, because in a sense the plot is sort of structured like a road movie. We're just sort of following Mona move from place to place to place, and as she moves, she makes stops, and she just kind of like interacts with people. Sometimes it'll be brief. Sometimes she'll just like ask someone for like, hey, can I have a cigarette? Yeah, can I have some cigarette? Can I have matches? Can I take some of this water? And other times she'll just like sort of she'll bum a ride. She'll kind of scrounge for food off of them, and she'll be around them for either for a short time or a couple days even, and it's what happens through this style of storytelling is that it's almost sort of set up as like a post-mortem, almost like some omniscient as if some omniscient onlooker is trying to like look through her journey through this movie and sort of like better, if not understand her, then definitely like, yeah, if not understand her, then sort of like just observe her and maybe even kind of judge her. But also the movie doesn't really ask us to judge her, sort of, because how this movie shows other people interacting with, and not just interacting with Mona, but oftentimes the scenes will be cut by these sort of interview style talking heads of the people Mona's come across us, and they're almost sort of set up as like this sort of documentary style testimonies, and oftentimes they'll even like just kind of turn and address the camera directly, like breaking the fourth wall. Well, and sometimes, but not all the time, there are set these cuts to this like interview style is sort of set like not like soon after the person being interviewed met Mona. So we'll get a scene. So like we'll get a scene of David, who is a vagrant that she kind of has a bit of affection for, and they kind of like shack up in this sort of abandoned manor, and the two of them, and then David gets attacked, and then David gets attacked by some robbers, and like she just bails, and we get a scene of David kind of talking at the camera about how he feels about Mona at that time, as he's on a train, and then he's taken away. Hey, pan of the train taken away, cut to Mona standing by watching a train pass, and there's a lot of familiar interesting editing moments like this, and even editing motifs like that. Like I adored this like this thing that it frequently did, where it would like have this tracking shot where it would scan from left to right, or right to left, and we would like sort of follow Mona, but then she would like sort of leave camera, and we would continue on, and it would sort of like set a new rhythm that you really take notice when it repeats itself again. And a lot of how these rhythms and patterns happen, and these sort of interview styles of the people that come across Mona, it really forces not just them but also us to think how we would respond to a person like her, because for one, and Mona's an interesting character because we don't really know anything about her. Like most of the time in like road movies, a lot of the more famous ones, you get like they're hitching, whether they're hitching a ride or they're just like they're traveling. Maybe they have like some destination to get to, or like they're trying to find a missing person that they love, like in Paris, Texas, or maybe they're just they're on to some destination. Mona doesn't. She has nowhere to go. Or oftentimes they'll be escaping from their past. But whatever Mona's past was, it's left pretty vague. There's a lot of incompleteness. Most of what we get is that, oh, she was a secretary and she didn't like her bosses, and now she's just kind of drifting just because she wants to be. And it's fascinating. And it's fascinating not just in the sense of like there's such ambiguity of who she is, or who she was, or who she might be, but also there's it's also interesting because Mona herself is kind of, she doesn't really I'll say she doesn't really try to win over our sympathies. Oftentimes she's kind of unlikable. Like she's like, it's so like she's like fierce. She's fierce and abrasive. And a lot of the time you see, and again, how you see Mona is a lot of how other people see Mona. Like you get these moments where people like where they're sitting down and either talking at the camera or talking to somebody next to or behind the camera even. You get a real range of reactions from people. Some women that come across her kind of envy her and because she's like just kind of adrift because she chooses to be and she wants to be, and some women see her as like this sort of symbol of freedom. Like they see her as like, oh, she's alone because she wants to be, and she has that freedom to be who she wants. And other people demean her. They look down on her because she's nasty. She's like she stinks. She doesn't really bathe. She doesn't really bathe, and she's like, she doesn't have great manners. And other people like call her a slut, while others just pity her circumstances, even when they lend offer a helping hand. Like there's a section where she sort of stays at a farm by this professor who like owns some land, and she said, and she mentions like, oh, I always wanted to like try to run some land, but then like when he like very generously offers like, just have some of this land for free, and she just kind of like does nothing with it. She claims she has ambition, as she wants to try some like housekeeping. Like even later when she says she wants to try some housekeeping, she doesn't really take to it because, well, she doesn't spare any niceties, and she just she's not fit for it. In fact, she spends that time like when she should be housekeeping for this old lady, this sweet old lady. She just like chats it up and has some nice brandy with the old lady, and it's wonderful. But also you get like, and sometimes these people like can be like rude and demeaning and like what they see a lot of like negativity in themselves when they look at Mona, and they feel disgusted and repulsed by her behavior and her smell. But what's so odd is that you still feel sympathy for her. I think the fact that you're not just sort of like taking this pseudo kind of post-mortem look at who this woman was and why you're not really wondering why she does what she does, but you do want to see her in a better spot. I think because you do get moments like when she pals around with this agronomist professor, Landia. She's a sweet lady, and it sort of casts this interesting, and it sort of casts this interesting light of like you sort of want to see that same kindness in yourself when you pass a person like in Mona's position. Like I kind of kept thinking about some of the ongoing housing insecurity happening right now, and how a lot of people, and how there's a lot of homeless people that are like still looked down on and like being degraded and like having their encampments like torn up, and it's sick, and I hate it. But there's kindness afforded when we sort of like see that on screen as a character, not like when it's a person. But But Vagabond does ask you to see, maybe if not directly sympathize or even pity Mona, it does want you to see her as a person, as the person that she chooses to be, a drifter, and I think that Agnes did a wonderful job with that, and man, it's a touching film. It's also a harsh film. I often thought back to Wanda, the Barbara Loden film that I talked about not too long ago, because there are some that does feel like some similarities. There's a feeling of a road. There's sort of this road movie sense. There's a feeling of watching a woman be adrift and sort of like non-judgmentally observing her and sort of asking the audience to sort of make up their own minds about who she is and what we might feel about her. And I think this sort of incompleteness in both Mona's character and like her history, and even aspects of like the people who like came across her, and man, there's so much, but there's also like, and it's frustrating in that sense, but also there was also some like genuine tenderness. Like there's a scene, like towards the end, there's a part where she makes a friend and even a potential lover in Asun, who is this Tunisian immigrant farmer, and she and him kind of hit it off, but then later he has to kind of cast her aside, and that's the part where she truly feels hurt, and that's when she starts to spiral into more self-destructive drinking and drug use and constant, and it's only after that scene where where we see her cry, and soon there we get a cut to Asun in this sort of in that sort of interviewee style space where he doesn't say anything. He holds the scarf that he gave her and that she threw back at him, and he kisses it, and he just looks back up at the camera, and and no words are needed, and you just know that she is always in his thoughts. And yeah, that almost broke me. And even the very ending, which the movie gives off right away, but like, man, just the suddenness of it, the unsentimentalness, and just really the bluntness kind of took me by surprise. Just wow, that's it, just in the ditch, cold and alone and gone, man. And it kind of broke my heart. This movie really wowed me, and I gotta say, and I also have to give special praise to the composer here, Joanna Bruzdowicz, Bruzdowicz, I think is how you pronounce it. Very fitting of the tone, it's a morose and sad tale, but also it's not really like forcing you to feel a certain way. It's just and just a sweet add-on to emotions that you were already feeling. Sort of a good accompaniment. And yeah, I was really surprised. I can't believe I've gone this long without mentioning Sandrine Bonnaire, who is the titular, who is Mona, and she's wonderful. She in fact won a Caesar Award for this performance, which is the French Oscar, and well deserved, I think. She's such a fascinating character. I can't wait to watch this again and pick up more of her reactions to things, and how wonderfully real she feels. It really did feel like I was watching a true person, a fully realized person, despite how scattered and incomplete the entire portrait is. There's enough of a portrait of Mona Bergeron that I miss her now that she's gone. And yeah, definitely again, I did. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the call again. I'm feeling the call to just like dig into this box of just like fully immerse myself and see more and learn more from Varda and really appreciate what she does, because yeah, that's the tenderness, the sincerity, there's the authenticity of the character, and the experimentation in the storytelling is so fascinating to me, and I really can't recommend this enough, and I have to watch this again soon, yeah, that's I guess that's the power of what Agnes does, and I miss her. I've only gone I only watched like maybe 2 movies of hers before she passed away a few years ago, but she's a treat. She's an absolute joy, and her movies do bring me joy, even if they do break my heart. Yeah, and highly recommend Vagabond. Can't say more about that. I also recommend really digging it. I also highly recommend the Observations on Film Art series. Those are very, very fruitful, very informative, very eye-opening videos, and yeah, definitely they do that great film student. They tickle. They get my film student brain a churning, and yeah, I think I'm just rambling at this point, but yeah, like movies like this really ignites passion, and I just have to get these. I have to get more of these out, because they're just so good. These movies are so good. You need to watch them. They are rewarding if you give them a chance, and that's kind of the goal of this whole series, of just showing more people wonderful works of art and wonderful films that they might not give a chance to, and even ones that I'm still discovering. And I'm so glad that I discovered Vagabond, and I'm just at the tip of the iceberg with Agnes Varda, and I need to get in further. But for now, that'll be it. Vagabond, can't recommend enough, and Agnes Varda, forever, now and forever, one of the gods, one of the greats. And for now, I'm Zach. I love movies. I have a lot more movies to watch, and I hope you watch all of those movies too. And keep sharing, keep exploring, and keep watching movies. And I will be watching movies, and I will see you all next time.